Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Do Homework With Me, and today we're doing graphing equations in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to go ahead and write my name, Miss Mata. Okay, here we go. So let's start with number 1. We always want to start with our y-intercept. And notice here when I'm highlighting my y-intercept, I'm including the signs. So I know that my b is the same as positive 2. And this tells me that I start at the point 0, 2. Okay, so let's find 0, 2. Right, this is 0, and then, this is 0, and then we go up to 1, 2. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight that in blue. So I know that this is the point that I start with. Okay, right here. This is the point that I start with. 0, 2. So now that I know that what my y-intercept is, I'm going to go ahead and look at my slope. Now, I know that this slope can also be written as 3 over 1. But guess what? If I give my slope the opposite signs for numerator and denominator, so if I made it negative 3 over negative 1, that's the same exact thing. Okay, so here I go. I'm going to go ahead and highlight with yellow and do my slope this time. Okay, so I start at this point 0, 2. Here we go. We're going to go to the top 1, 2, 3, because I'm looking at this slope now. Go to the top, go to the slope, rise over run. I rise 3, and then I go to the right 1. Okay, same thing with this slope. If I start off at my y-intercept, which is at 0, 2, I'm going to go ahead and do negative 3 over negative 1. So I fall, which is going down, 1, 2, 3, and to the left 1. Okay, check that out. Okay, so now I have enough points, I'd say, where I can go ahead and connect the dots and make my line. There it is. There's the graph for equation number 1. Okay, now let's look at graph number 2. Graph number 2 right here starts with a negative 1. Okay, so I know that my y-intercept, which is my b, is the same as a negative 1. And that the point that I start with is 0, negative 1. Okay, so 0, negative 1 is 0 and then negative 1. So we go down. So right here, this is the point that I start with. Let me go ahead and label that point. 0, negative 1. Okay, right here my y-intercept was 0, 2. So here my starting point is my y-intercept. 0, negative 1, cool. Now let's look at my slope, which is a negative 1 over 4. Well, if negative 1 over 4 is my slope, let's write that down. M is equal to negative 1 over 4. Well, the truth is, if I flip the signs, which is if I made the numerator positive 1 and the denominator negative 4, that's the same exact thing, the same exact slope, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and focus on this first slope. So that one says I fall because it's a negative. Instead of rise, I fall. So I fall 1, and then I go to the right 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, big dot right there. And then if I look at this one, it says, because it's a positive 1, I rise. So from the blue dot, my y-intercept, I go up 1, rise 1, and then to the left 4. Well, because it's a negative 4 right here, right? Negative 4 right there. So I go to the left 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and negative 4. Cool. So I have enough points, I'd say, to combine the points and make a line. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and move on to number 3. So number 3, right here, I always start with my y-intercept. And I know that my y-intercept, which is b, is -5. That means the point that I start with is 0, -5. Alright. And then let's go ahead and find that point. 0, -5 is right there. Okay, so let's use the blue dot. Okay, blue dot is my starting point. 0, -5. Let's go ahead and label that. 0, -5. Okay, that's my blue dot. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the slope. Well, I know that my slope, ooh, look at that, guys. Let's go ahead and highlight that one more time. So my slope is this invisible 1, remember, in front of the x. 1 times x, 1x is the same as 1 times x. Okay, so I know that there's that magical 1 in front of any variable, so 1 over 3. So let's go ahead and write the arrow. The arrow goes like this. So we have 1 over 3 is our slope, right? And the same exact thing. I'm going to go ahead and give it the inverse, but the opposite signs. Let's go ahead and do -1 over the opposite of +3 is -3. Okay? Exactly the same slope. So let's focus on this slope first. So starting from -5, which is our y-intercept, right? b equals -5. It's 1 over 3. The slope 1 over 3 is telling us to rise 1 and then go to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. We can do it again, actually. Why not? We can do it as many times as we want. Let's go ahead and rise 1 again and go to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. Look at that. Awesome. Okay, now let's look at this slope. It's telling us to fall 1, to go down 1, right? And then go to the left 3 times. 1, -1, -2, -3. Here we are. Okay. So now I would say I have enough points. Look at that. I have enough points. I can connect my dots now. I can connect my points. Boom. There's the graph for equation number 3. Let's go ahead and graph the equation for number 4. Starting with the y-intercept, which is +3. Let's go ahead and do b is equal to +3, and the point is 0, +3. Okay, because this is my this is my y value. So this point is telling me where I start. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make that blue as well. This is my starting point. So let's find our starting point. 0, +3. 0, +3 on the y-axis. Okay, remember, this is the y-axis. So we always have to look at the y-axis. So there's our starting point. And then let's look at our slope. Well, our slope is whatever ratio is in front of the x. Okay, so now here we go. I'm going to draw an arrow right here. Our m is a -1. -1 is the same as writing -1 over +1. Okay? And that, if we flip the signs, this could be the opposite of -1 is +1. The opposite of +1 is -1. Okay, so let's look at this slope first. This slope is telling us to fall or go down 1 and then to the right 1. You know what? I can do it again. Why not? Go down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1. Cool. Okay, how about this one? How about this one? This slope tells us, the slope +1 over -1 is telling us to go up 1 and then to the left 1. Oh, look, I can do it again. Up 1 to the left 1 because it's a negative 1 right there. Okay, well, you know what? I have a lot of points now. I have a lot of dots that I can connect. Let's go ahead and connect all those dots and draw our line. Cool. Now let's look at the bottom two. These are the last questions. Alright. For number 5, our slope-intercept is the -5. So B is equal to -5. And then we have our starting point is 0, -5. Again, this is the y. This is our y-intercept, right? Exactly. So our y coordinate point. All right, here we go. So we know that I start at 0, -5. Let's find it. 0, -5 on the y-axis. So it's all the way down here. Okay. All right, now let's do this thing. Let's go to our slope. Our slope is equals 2 over 3. Well, guess what? Same exact thing. If I switch the signs, it's going to be what's opposite of +2? -2. Opposite of +3? -3. Same exact thing. So let's go ahead and do that with the yellow. Let's look at this slope first. 2 over 3. So this is telling me to rise over run. Rise, 1, 2, and to the right, 3. Run, 3 to the right. 1, 2, and 3. Big point right there. Okay, now let's look at, how about this slope? This slope has a negative slope, so it's negative, right? So we're going to go down to -2, 1, 2, and then it's telling us -3, so go to the left 3, -1, -2, and -3. Okay, let's go ahead and connect the dots. There it is. Awesome. All right, now let's go to question number 3, and we have this right here, -4. -4 tells us that our b is equal to -4, and our starting point is 0, -4. Okay, this is our y, so we have to make sure we're looking at our y-axis when we're plotting our b. When we plot that y-intercept, we have to look at the y-axis. So let's look at 0, -4. 0, and then -4 going down, boom, there's our -4. Let's make that look nicer. Okay, -4 is right there, so this we know, oh, I forgot to label my point here, but this was 0, -5, right? And then let's just color code, 0, -4, and then boom, this is our y-intercept for question number 6, 0, -4. All right, well, let's go ahead and find our slope. Here we have -2. All right, so let's go ahead and draw the arrow. How about we draw the arrow down here? Okay, so now we have m is equal to -2. -2 can be written as -2 over 1. Okay, the slope is exactly, let's go ahead and change the signs. Let's switch the signs. Look, now what's the opposite of -2? Well, opposite of 2 of -2 is +2. What's the opposite of -1? Or excuse me, opposite of +1 is -1. Right, so here we go. We have this slope. Let's work with the first one first. -2 tells us we fall. We go down 2, 1, 2, and then 1 tells us to go to the right 1. All right, now let's look at this slope. +2 over -1 tells us rise over run. So rise, 1, 2, okay? And then it tells us from here we go to the left 1 because it's a -1, okay? So now I have enough points to combine to draw a line. Cool. So that is the homework, and I hope you guys had a good time to do it. I hope you guys didn't have too much difficulty to do it. All right, cool. Thanks, guys.